Who knew that having mouth odor could be the best thing to happen to her and bring people back from the dead? This is the unbelievable story of Clara, a woman whose mouth odor was so powerful it could literally wake the dead. Clara was born on an ordinary morning with nothing unusual about her cry or her tiny hands. She grew like every other child, learning to walk, learning to talk, and learning to dream. It was only when she began to speak more often that people noticed something was terribly wrong. Her breath did not just smell bad. It arrived before her, announced her presence, and chased people away like an invisible storm. At first, everyone thought it was a phase. Children teased her at school and covered their noses. Teachers opened windows whenever she raised her hand. Friends slowly became strangers. Clara noticed the pattern early, but she did not understand it. She only knew that rooms emptied when she talked, and laughter died when she spoke too long. As she grew older, the problem grew with her. It did not fade with age. It did not respond to care. Toothpaste failed her. Mouthwash surrendered. Herbal mixtures gave up. Every solution promised relief and delivered disappointment. Dentists examined her and shook their heads. Tests were run, samples taken, and conclusions reached, but nothing worked. Her condition was rare, stubborn, and uncooperative. The social consequences were devastating. Clara watched as her life slowly fell apart, one awkward encounter at a time. Her friends started making excuses not to hang out. Family gatherings became uncomfortable affairs where everyone positioned themselves at the opposite end of the room. Dating was completely out of the question. The few brave souls who tried to get close to her would lean in for a conversation, catch a whiff of her breath, and suddenly remember an urgent appointment they were already late for. Despite everything, Clara was sharp. Her mind was fast, her ideas clear, and her confidence strong. She believed intelligence could defeat inconvenience. She believed skill could outweigh smell. She studied hard and eventually got a job as a customer care attendant in a busy office building. For a brief moment, she felt like life had finally looked away from her flaw. That moment did not last. At work, things were even worse. Clara had started her career as a customer care attendant at Sunset Communications, a busy call center where she had quickly climbed the ranks thanks to her natural charm and problem-solving skills. She loved helping people, and she was genuinely good at it. But that was before the mouth odor reached catastrophic levels. The first complaint came from Mrs. Jade, a regular customer who had always requested to speak with Clara specifically. One day, after Clara leaned over to show her something on the computer screen, Mrs. Jade's face went pale. She grabbed her purse, mumbled something about feeling unwell, and practically ran out of the building. She never came back. Then Mr. Femi, a businessman who came in every week to pay his bills, asked to speak with someone else after Clara greeted him. When Clara asked if everything was okay, he simply handed her a mint and walked away. The mint sat on her desk for days, a small monument to her humiliation. The breaking point came during a particularly busy afternoon. A young couple walked in to set up their internet service, and Clara, being the dedicated employee she was, rushed over to help them. She smiled warmly, opened her mouth to greet them, and the reaction was instant. The young man's eyes watered. The woman covered her nose with her scarf. They looked at each other, then at Clara, then at each other again, and practically sprinted to the other side of the room. Clara's boss, Mr. Sam, a portly man with a kind heart but a business to run, had witnessed the whole thing. He called her into his office that evening, and Clara knew what was coming. Mr. Sam spent 15 minutes talking around the subject, mentioning customer satisfaction scores and the importance of first impressions, before finally getting to the point. He could not let her continue in a customer-facing role. But Mr. Sam was not a cruel man. He did not want to fire Clara completely. So he offered her a different position, one where she would not have to interact with customers. Clara was demoted to the cleaning staff. Her new job was to mop floors, empty trash cans, and wipe down desks after everyone went home. It was a job where silence was golden and mouths could stay firmly shut. The humiliation burned like acid in Clara's chest. She had worked so hard to build her career, had stayed late countless nights, and had earned Employee of the Month 3 times in a row. And now she was pushing a mop cart through empty hallways while her former colleagues avoided making eye contact with her. But Clara was nothing if not professional. She took her new role seriously, showing up early and staying late, making sure every corner of that office sparkled. The only problem was that Clara had never been good at keeping quiet. She had opinions, ideas, solutions to problems she overheard. And sometimes, forgetting herself, she would try to help. Then came the day everything broke. Clara was sweeping near the entrance when a new customer walked in, unaware of her history. He approached her for guidance. She turned, ready to help, hopeful for a normal human moment. The second she opened her mouth, the world tilted. The man collapsed like a switched-off machine. People screamed. Security rushed in. Ambulances arrived. Clara stood frozen, holding a broom and a lifetime of blame. The man survived, but the patients around Clara did not. Her boss reached the end of his kindness. There was no more rearranging, no more adjustments, no more mercy shaped like pity. Clara was let go. That evening, she walked home slower than usual. The streets felt longer. The sky felt heavier. Every step carried the weight of rejection. She wondered how something she never chose had become the loudest thing about her life. She wondered why effort never counted. She wondered why intelligence never saved her. At home, the silence welcomed her like an old friend. She cried until her chest hurt. She cried until her eyes refused to produce tears. Somewhere between pain and exhaustion, she made a quiet decision. She would stop speaking. If her voice caused damage, she would remove it from the world. The next morning, Clara woke up with a new plan for survival. If she could not speak, she would write. She found an old notebook and a pen, and ventured out into the world with her new method of communication. At the meat market, she wrote down her order and handed the paper to the confused but relieved cashier. At the pharmacy, she pointed at what she needed and nodded when asked questions. People assumed she had lost her voice, and Clara let them believe it. Days turned into weeks, and Clara adapted to her silent existence. She started carrying a small whiteboard and dry erase marker for longer conversations. She learned sign language from YouTube videos. She became an expert at communicating through gestures and written notes. In a strange way, it was almost freeing. Without the constant anxiety of her breath offending someone, Clara could focus on other things. She found work doing data entry from home, a job that required no speaking whatsoever. She grocery shopped at odd hours when stores were nearly empty. She took long walks at dawn when the streets were quiet. She existed in the margins of society, neither truly part of it nor completely separate from it. But Clara still went to church every Sunday. It was the one place where she felt she could not give up, the one connection to hope she still maintained. She sat in the back pew, never singing the hymns, never saying the prayers aloud, but listening to every word. The pastor never asked why she did not participate, simply nodding at her warmly each week. Then came the day that rewrote everything. It was a quiet afternoon after church. The road was busy, the sun unforgiving. Clara was walking home when a loud crash tore through the air. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. People scattered. A bus had collided with a speeding car. The scene was chaos. Smoke rose. Bodies lay still. The silence after the noise was terrifying. People rushed closer, then froze. Some screamed. Some cried. Some prayed. It became clear that the passengers were gone. Life had left them. Clara stood at the edge of the crowd, shaking. Fear fought with instinct. She knew what had happened. She knew what loss looked like. Something inside her broke free from silence. A scream escaped her, raw and powerful, driven by horror and helplessness. The air shifted. A strange green wave spread from her mouth, thick and undeniable. It moved like a force with intention. People gagged. People stumbled back. But something impossible happened. The bodies moved. Eyes opened. Chests rose. Life returned like it had only stepped out briefly. The dead sat up, confused but breathing. The street erupted into screams of disbelief. Clara fell to her knees. Nobody understood what they had seen, but everyone knew who caused it. Word spread faster than reason. A woman with breath that could wake the dead. A curse that turned into a miracle. Fear mixed with hope. Disbelief mixed with desperation. Hospitals heard the rumors and laughed. Then they tested it. Clara was invited to stand near patients who had just passed. She resisted at first. The memory of rejection was fresh. But grief-filled families begged. Doctors observed. Nurses prepared. Clara took a breath and released her voice. It worked. Again and again. Not for everyone. Not always. But enough to change everything. Clara became a phenomenon. Families paid generously. Hospitals created special rooms with strong ventilation and protective gear. Scientists took notes. Reporters gathered. Religious leaders debated. The world watched. She was no longer a mistake. She was a solution. Clara established rules. She did not work alone. She did not overuse her ability. She rested. She learned to control intensity. She turned chaos into structure. What once ruined her life now built it. Her bank account grew. Her confidence returned. Respect followed her like a shadow that finally chose the right shape. People who once ran now waited in line. The same society that rejected her now praised her resilience. 2 years after the accident that changed everything, Clara stood at a charity gala honoring her work. She had saved over 200 lives. Families whose loved ones she had brought back filled the room, their faces glowing with gratitude. Dr. Chen was there too, still studying Clara's unique biology, still amazed by what she had discovered. As Clara looked out at the crowd, she felt a smile spread across her face. For the first time in her life, she was not afraid to open her mouth. In fact, she hoped she would never have to stop. Because somewhere out there, someone would need her, and Clara would be ready. The woman whose breath once made people run away had become the woman whose breath brought people back. And in the end, that made all the suffering, all the rejection, all the loneliness worth it. Clara had finally found her place in the world, and it smelled absolutely terrible. But it saved lives,